Andy Nyman, thank you so much for joining us on the London Theatre Review.
Absolute pleasure. Lovely to see you, Nick.
I'd like to talk to you, obviously, about the producers in which you're playing Max Bialystock, but also about ghost stories. Maybe we should go there first, since I'm talking to you on Halloween.
Yes.
How is it to have that come back to the West End, to the Peacock?
Oh, it's it's thrilling. It's absolutely thrilling. It's its fourth time in the West End, which is beyond belief. Jeremy and I keep pinching ourselves. Um, and the thing that's been wonderful about this, it's just finished its first national tour, and then it did this 6 weeks in town. Was it's playing at the Peacock, which is a lovely theatre,
Hmm.
quite a strange theatre that's a little bit kind of high Holborn.
Yeah,
So just on the edge of the West End. And we did find ourselves thinking, are people going to go? Will they find it? It has been so busy.
hmm.
I think there were almost 1,000 people in last night. I mean, it was
Right.
absolutely extraordinary. It's terrific cast. It's, I think the best version that's been for years. So we're thrilled. We're absolutely thrilled that people love the show so much.
Great. What is it about ghost stories that you think has a sort of perennial fascination? Because I know you're a ghost and horror fan, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Well, I think it's a big question, that, Nick. I think that Ghost Stories as a show, what it delivers, and I think when it came out in 2010, it really kick-started the idea that horror can work in the theatre. Because, The Woman in Black, which was incredible and brilliant, at that time had been there for 20 years and was a bit of a sacred, well, you can't have another horror thing because there's that. So when we wrote Ghost Stories, we created something that was the opposite of The Woman in Black. It was utterly contemporary. It was an hour, just under an hour and a half straight through, and it had the same rhythm and jumps as the best horror film that you'd go and see.
Yeah.
One of the thrills is it is like a roller coaster ride. From the second you get in, the second the show starts, it picks you up by the scruff of the neck and it lets you go at the very end. And it's very funny as well, but there are proper jumps. And one of the things we've heard a lot over the 16 years it's been going is we hear people say, oh, I hate horror, but I loved that.
Hmm.
And there's something within the fun experience of it, of how all the secrets, which we've kept very tight, you can't really find out what the show's about unless you go see it, reveal themselves to you in a very satisfying way, I think. People just seem to absolutely love the buzz of that. So if you've
Hmm.
never seen it, I urge you, get there to see it. And if you have seen it, it's worth seeing again because there's all the little secrets and bits that you spot. Oh my God, of course. Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing it first time around, and I do remember the hairs actually stirring on my head in that very early scene that you deliver about the photograph. Just before we go on to the producers, I believe you and Jeremy Dyson are working on another play for next year. Is that right?
Yes,
The
we
Psychic,
are. Very good.
another ghost story, or what is
It's
this?
not a
Is there anything you
ghost
can tell us
story.
about it?
Yeah, it's called The Psychic. It opens at York Theatre Royal next April. Jeremy and I are directing it. So it's our version of a sort of Ira Levin, Peter Shaffer stage thriller. There are supernatural things within it, but it's about a popular TV psychic called Sheila Gold, who loses a court case that brands her as charlatan. She's accused of using an earpiece. Um, Loses this court case that costs her like £500,000 in legal fees. Shortly after that, a very wealthy couple come to her and say, look, we lost our daughter. If you can make contact with her and prove to us it's her, money's no object. That's worth more to us than anything. We'll give you whatever you want. So hearing this, Sheila thinks, ooh, I can make some money here. And that is what leads her into the story that is The Psychic. So that
Okay.
opens at York next week. We've just had a couple of first design meetings on it, and oh my God, we are beyond excited to do.
Is the plan to bring it to London, or the hope?
I mean, that's always the plan and the hope.
Great.
We're replicating what we did with Ghost Stories, which, and it's good to talk about this on theatre a theatre podcast, because one of the reasons we started at the Lyric with ghost stories was we believe profoundly in subsidised theatre. And one of the joys of it is for 16 years, the Lyric Hammersmith has been earning money off ghost stories. We're starting this at York Theatre Royal for exactly the same reason. We want it to run for 15, 16 years, 20 years, why not? And we want that money to also keep going back into the theatre up there, because we love it. We think that's part of what theatre should be. So it's not just purely commercial. If it wasn't for subsidised theatre, we would not have created ghost stories.
Yeah.
So we really believe in it. And then, of course, there's the other side of it, that is you get to start something away from London, away from the critics, where you can just work on it and make it as good as you can and hope that, yeah, it's very commercial and let's see. But all we care about at the moment is let's just get it to where we want it to be.
Terrific. Well, let's go on to the producers then. It transferred to the West End from the Meniere. I loved it at the Meniere. I loved it even more in the West End. Tell me how you think the producers meeting a moment.
The truth of it is, if you're not politically minded, none of that matters, because Mel Brooks's writing is absolutely extraordinary. His fearless comedy, his bursting bubbles and poking fun at everybody, is on paper should be deeply unpalatable. But there is something about Mel Brooks that has such wit, obviously, but such kindness underneath it, that it just seems to make it okay. And that's one of the things I think with Patrick Marber's new production, that's the first proper new production of the show for over 20 years, certainly that Mel Brooks has allowed, is it's really kind of stripped the show back and brought that sweetness out of it. And that's one of the really lovely things, aside from how funny it is. It's really a love story between these two men who end up finding each other and what their friendship is. And it's just adorable. And I play opposite a brilliant actor who theatre goers will probably recognise, called Mark Antolin, who is got a wonderful body of work, and he is just a joy. So it's such a pleasure to go out every night to packed houses, screaming with laughter.
I know it's always well, you've spoken to interviewers before about the fact that there are two sort of big figures who played the part before, Max Bialystock, Zero Mostel in the original film, and then Nathan Lane, who brought it over from Broadway when it came here 20 years ago. Your performance seemed to me to be radically different from those very big. Your performance is quite understated, which I loved in it. And, he's a sort of deeply shabby, sad, somewhat pitiable man, Bialystock here, isn't he? I wonder, was that a conscious reaction, or can you not afford to think of that as an actor?
Well, firstly, thank you, Nick. That's very kind of you. No, I do think of that stuff. I don't think I know how can I make it different from.
Yeah.
Strangely, I don't think of myself as a musical actor, and yet I've happened to have played these giant musical roles in the past few years.
That's going to be my next question, just to warn you. But yeah, go ahead.
The first time I came up against, was when I played Tevye. And
this is in Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Non-musical heads out there.
Every one of my Jewish relatives and Jewish friends I grew up with, I knew I was going to hear, look, he's no Topol, but
right,
because the truth of it is, Nick, you got to look. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with there is one iconic version done, and of course, prior to the film, in that respect, it was Zero again, and I just literally thought, I can't be as good. I can't be better than. It's fine. I'll just be my version of it. And that's the same when I did Hello Dolly, because you've got Walter Matthau and you're like, bloody hell. And again, I just thought, it doesn't matter. Let them think whatever they want. It's fine. I'll just be my version of it. And that's the same with this. It's a joy for me to hear you say it's understated, because he's also a massive character. And I think what I take from that comment, which I really appreciate, is, for me, I look at these things and think, what are the roots that go into me? How is he like me? And then you dig from that. And the truth of it is, we are, he's a man who's had giant success that has now eluded him. He's completely on his uppers. He's living in his office. He's having to be, the kindest word would be a gigolo to try and pay his rent, not women that he desperately finds attractive. His clothes are dirty. As he tells us, I used to wear handmade Italian shoes, $500 suits. Look at me now, I'm wearing a cardboard belt.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it tells you everything. His opening number, I used to be the king of Broadway. I'll get back there one day. Well, who isn't that person? Who isn't a person who's had stuff and then life slapped you in the face? What makes Max uniquely gorgeous to me is he doesn't give a shit what he looks like. What drives him is the force of nature that he is, that is like, come on, Nick, we'll be fine. I promise you. Come on, stop being like that. I'm telling you, it'll be okay. Come with me now. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
And you can't not think, oh God, okay.